Okay, so Friedrich Nietzsche is a weird, cool motherfucker. He's a German philosopher who hated Christianity and morality. Nazis definitely manipulated his philosophies. Some crazy, weird little facts. He was a failure during his whole life. None of anybody looked at his papers. His peers never really cited any of his shit. Not until he died is when everyone started reading all his shit. He had a weird thing with women. Kind of a hater because he never got laid or the girl never liked him back. He was sickly for most of his life. He embraced suffering. He had a mental breakdown when he saw a horse being beaten. He was reported to have ran to the horse when it got hit and held it and wept. He was thrown into an asylum and died 11 years later at the age of 56, so he died pretty young. He thought alcohol was as bad as Christianity. He said, "Shit that makes you not embrace suffering. Drown our sorrows is a mistake. Anything that dulls pain weakens to resolve to overcome the problem from which the pain has arisen." He thinks life is a struggle for existence in which the fittest survive, then the strength to the ultimate virtue and weakness is the only fault. So, like, if you're a weak bitch, he just thinks you should be taken out. Nature should just get rid of you. And I mean, I think nature already kind of does that anyway. Like, it's already filtering out the weak. But he does make a good point with, like, society and how it's structured. We do cater to weak. We do foster mediocrity. Like, it's not, we could be better. And he has this thing with will to life. The struggle for existence is the will to power, the will to overcome. He loved Plato. There's a lot of Plato in Nietzsche. He feared that art would unteach men, make them just tender-minded and weak and just, I guess, girly. And he thought Christianity made men weak, and because it had morals. It was just a way to make humans too, empathetic. I mean, he thought that we had to be a little bit animalistic to get shit done. He said, behind all our morality, there's this secret will to power. Love itself is only a desire for possession. Courtship is combat, and mating is mastery. So he thinks all it is, like, anytime you're in love with a girl or like you like somebody, it's deep down, it's a will to power. It's you want to conquer that person, or you want that person to be a part of you. It's basically everything's kind of like a selfish act in his eyes to just keep upgrading yourself. And these underground desires, these pulsations to will to power, they determine our thoughts. These weird pulsations to become something better, it drives our thoughts to just keep collecting things and, take out people in the hierarchy. He also believed instinct was the most powerful, most honest expression of a human. He believed if you followed your instincts, that is the way to live. That is the way to move up hierarchies. And he thinks morality and morals that Christianity and other religions formed block that. And it just makes us weak and then we rot away. He thinks morality is only useful to the herd. He thinks the wolf and the shepherd should ignore morality. He thinks passion is the strongest emotion to have. Just instinct and passion. I don't know. That's very what? So if I want to fuck, I just go fuck. I don't understand his instinct kind of just going with it. Sometimes I want to fucking hurt people. You can't. You just, it would not work. It'd be chaos. It'd be anarchy. He thinks men should be more evil. He thinks we should just we're too nice. I think we need a little bit more niceness, to be honest with you. And he thinks the ultimate ethic is biological. He thinks the real test for man and species is the capacity to wield power, to become stronger. He also had an interesting he thought foods made certain beliefs come about. He thought rice made Buddhism, and he thought beer made German metaphysics. He thinks a substance used by a society or just a culture, whatever they're eating or drinking will literally get into their thought patterns, and they will create these odd philosophies about life, be it religion or, metaphysics like German or just in ancient Greece. He thought we should develop the Superman. He believed society should come together and work on perfecting a better expression of a human. He didn't really think it was a human. It's a Superman. it's like another thing. He thought the humans were weak. He thought we should develop a stronger being. He wanted to use eugenics and strict education to foster these people. He thought that you should pick and select the fittest to fuck, basically. But I mean, isn't nature already eugenics? Aren't people who are attracted or they're going to date attractive people, or smart people going to date smart people? The only thing where it gets fucked up is when you got dumb people fucking smart people because their attractive levels are like, so you know, you might be a smart guy and you pulled a pretty hot girl and then she's not smart, or vice versa, and then it's just based on looks and just how like your body looks. But I mean, if you don't fit in, you guys are planning to get married and have a kid if you guys don't work together. But I think nature kind of drives for a stronger, fitter human, like a more dominant expressions of human. Yeah, I thought this was pretty cool. He quote, "And yet a school where one will learn to laugh heartily, philosophers should be graded according to their capacity for laughter. He who strideth across the highest mountains laugheth at all tragedies." So any person who laughs real hard, he believed, was probably the most intelligent. And, you know, I can agree with that right there. The people I've met who's comedic understanding and just understanding humor, they're like the smartest motherfuckers. Like the people who laugh hard, always cool, always awesome. And the people that are just odd and not cool and just judgmental and just very, they don't laugh hard. They don't laugh a lot. It's very like their humor is very underdeveloped. They're just not. Humor is probably the biggest indicator of just cool people and smart people. He thought energy, intellect, and pride was the top qualities for a Superman. He said a chosen people will arise and the Superman will come out of it. I think this is where the Germans and the Nazis got a little too excited. He thought Christianity was dictating our world and any other religion. So he thought, get rid of that to start the Superman. He claims it was such men who supplied the ruling classes for Germany, Scandinavia, France, England, Italy, and Russia. He thinks these are the chosen people. So it looks like white people. He said I think he references the Vikings. Like he thinks the Vikings were the most powerful humans, because when they came down from Scandinavia and started just fucking shit up, they basically put their genes into, you know, Germany, Scandinavia, France, England, Italy, and all that shit. They placed their political doctrine into the societies. They put their, like, you know, the way they think should, and he thinks that lingers on a little bit within this like group of people, these group of peoples. He says a herd of blonde beasts of prey, a race of conquerors and masters with military organization, with the power to organize, placing fearful palls upon a population perhaps vastly superior in numbers. So he's probably referencing like the big, tall Viking guys, blonde, just like these just distinct looking humans that came down and started like massacring like the Aryans, I guess, that the Nazis started using. But I don't think those were Aryans. Aryans were like in India, maybe. I got to go look back on some shit. And what's interesting, he kind of, you know, the Jews, you know, they, the Nazis definitely, obviously, fucking didn't like them. But he seemed to not hate Jews. Like, what I'm reading right here, he says, require an intergrowth of the German and Slav races. And we require, too, the cleverest financiers, the Jews, that we may become the masters of the world. He thought Jews become the masters of the world. We required an unconditional union with Russia. So he believed there should be a synthesis, you know, with the Jews and the Slavs. He thought combining these races would make a better race, I believe. It sounds like it. It sounds like he thought Jews were... But I know he's been, you know, his shit's been, like, polluted with people saying he hated Jews. He was anti-Semitic. He was also... not very fond of women, like I said. Equality between man and woman is impossible, he said, because war between them is internal. And there's like that yin and yang thing going on. Peace only comes when the other one is the master. So he thinks that one needs to take over the other, but maybe there's a balance, dude. And he thought that women were the most content during motherhood, and they like the subordination of the man. They think that's where they're most happiest in. He thinks nature adores equality. No. He thinks nature hates equality. Differentiation of individuals and classes and species is how we evolve. And I can agree to a little bit of that, because we are such, in modern day society, people try to be the same human. Everyone's copying each other, wearing the same shit, eating the same shit. Everyone just wants to desperately fit in. But if you notice, culture changes when we have a group or an individual who just expresses themselves in an authentic way, and it's new, and people ride on that. So every trend you see or anything is from one motherfucker stepping up and doing his own thing. He hated socialism. He thought it was envy. They just want something which that we have. And he thought that it's funny how slaves are only noble when they revolt. And he also thought businessmen were slaves too. There's puppets of routine. They didn't enjoy the intellect. It was just beyond their reach. He agreed with Plato. He thought you should divide society into 3 different classes: producers, like farmers, businessmen, proletariats. And then he said the second class is the soldiers. And the third would be the philosopher kings. It would be the philosopher kings were the guardians. They had courage, strength, and they're scholars, and they controlled society. He think there should just be no accidents of birth. Everything should be selected and prepared. And man's ancestors have paid the price of what he is. And, there is some criticism on him, and I kind of agree with Durant, who wrote about him, the book I'm using. I don't think everyone's trying to find a will to power, because there's different expressions of humans and cultures. Like, there's a calm to the Chinese, and there's like a mystical kind of essence to Hindu, and then the satisfied routine of a medieval peasant. Power is just something that we use to move up, of course, and some people get a little obsessed with it. It's like a drug, it's a tool. You got to use it correctly. But I think some people would rather just be, live in peace and just feel protected and just live a good and enjoy the moment, not constantly going up the hill, which is awesome too. That's have the power, but also find some peace. And I think Nietzsche just never found peace.